Go ahead and call the regular board meeting of the Board of Regents at North Central Texas College to order. And the first item on our agenda is a quorum, establishing a quorum, and we do have a quorum. Thanks for your attendance. The second item is citizens communication. Cindy, do we have anybody that's asked to address the board? No. Okay, thank you. The next item is under reports. The first one would be the Board of Regents committee report from the Finance Committee.
We did not meet.
Okay. The second one would be the executive meeting, and we did have a meeting on November the 10th at 5 p.m. here. We had some discussion about, of course, the agenda for tonight's meeting. We had discussion also about the Community College Commission on Finance, and Dr. Wallace gave us some detailed analysis of our data as it relates to the small, medium, and very large and very large campus of other institutions in our state. And then he also provided a list of athletic programs that we're considering bringing in the fall of 2022. So that's some exciting things that will be announced as time goes on. The next item, it would be the committee report from the building committee. Mr. Grunt?
Yeah, we met today and we discussed the overall age and square footage of the roughly 700,000 square foot of facilities that are either owned or leased by the college. We also reviewed through the projects that were completed in 2020 to 2021, and then the projects that are ongoing now, and then the projects that come. So we had a lot of good discussion.
Good. Thank you for that report. The next item is the Chancellor's Administrative Report. Dr. Wallace?
Thank you. Over the past several years, the Board of Regents has been working toward trying to find mechanisms to further communicate with not only our local annexation tax base, but also our branch maintenance tax district in Graham ISD. Without any kind of formal state guidelines regarding this, we have over the years discussed a liaison type position that would represent the community and regularly be able to attend the college board meetings, etc. Each quarter, this position will be able to report to the board from information from Graham community as well as allow it as we would any of our community partners. So joining us this evening for the first time is our Graham representative, Mrs. Ellen Morris. And Ellen, if you would just wave or tell her hello.
Thank you all for having me.
Ellen has served in many supporting roles with NCTC that include membership of our NCTC Foundation in Graham as well. She's also a longtime educator herself and understands the role and scope of the Texas Community College, and we look forward to working with her in her new role. So Ellen, thank you for being here this evening. The final charter membership for the Commission on Community Colleges has been finalized, and actually they met today for the first time. And I want to just briefly give you an overview of committee membership, as that committee is going to have a very, very important role in determining the funding mechanisms of community colleges in the future. Those memberships are as follows. Presiding officer, Woody Hunt, who is senior chairman of the Hunt Companies in El Paso, Texas. The Honorable Brandon Creighton. Senator Creighton is in District 4, which is Conroe and Houston area, if you're not familiar with those districts. Dr. Mark Escanilla, who is president of Del Mar College out of Corpus Christi. We have Dr. Steve Head, who is the Chancellor of Lone Star. Lone Star is headquartered in Conroe as well. Dr. Brenda Hilliard, Chancellor of San Jacinto College. San Jacinto is in the Gulf Coast region. Brian Jones is Director of Professional Learning and is a faculty member representing the TCCTA appointee at Odessa College. Dr. Brenda Caves, President of Kilgore College. The Honorable Oscar Longoria, District 35, which is Hidalgo County, and Cameron County, which is a part of just a little north of the Gulf, that part of the state. Carol Scott, Del Mar College Board of Regents. Carol is the appointee from the Community College Association of Texas Trustees. I neglected to say that Brenda Hillier is the TAC appointee. The Honorable Larry Taylor, again, District 11, which is Friendswood, which is a portion of that same Houston area. The Honorable Gary Van Dever, which is District 87, which is Bowie and Franklin counties and portions of other counties in East Texas. That's the Paris, I believe, area. And then Todd Williams is the final member of that committee, who is the CEO of Commit Partnership. One of the things that they must study is the current mechanism in which community colleges are funded. And my concern that I've already afforded to a certain extent that I would share with you all is there is not, in my opinion, in the commission, a variety of location. It is extremely Gulf Coast centric. You have both member and non-member of the Texas Association of Community Colleges represented on that commission. And you have 2 from one institution. Now, we support and hope that this work goes well. We are going to do our best to work with them. And I do serve as an officer of the Texas Association of Community Colleges, and we're already trying to meet with those members that are community college presidents, all of them, to try to just make sure that there's a fair and equitable approach to how this is studied. Because my concern is none of the college representation yet represents someone who is serving a large out-of-district population, or that understands branch maintenance tax districts in that conversation, or understands any of those. They're good people. I'm not questioning any of that. I just am hoping the commission reaches out to other colleges to make sure that we have a voice in this process. And so I tell my colleagues across the state, my first job is NCTC Chancellor, and I owe my responsibilities to this college, and I do have some concerns about the future and what that commission could decide if we don't have full representation of understanding each of our areas. And is there any questions about that for me? I would be open to any of those about the commissions or more to come. And I'll keep you informed as a board with as much information as I'm able to provide for you. At your desk this evening is an invitation to our Red River Promise launch, Save the Day. So January 11th. We were trying to get this done this December before the end of the semester, but that's just too difficult to do. Our ISD partners, again, this is the Red River Promise, is comprised of serving the Promise program for Cook, Montague, and Graham ISD. It's an exciting evening. All of our superintendents from all of our school districts that are partnering should be present that evening in a major signing in the CPA, First State Bank CPA today, for that date. So if you have the opportunity to early on plan, we want to get that date in front of you as soon as we could. We'd like to have you there. December graduation is upon us, which is extremely surprising to us, considering it doesn't feel like December should be here today. So this evening at your desk, you'll find a ceremony list. If you can attend any of those and already know which ones you may be able to attend, if you can check that and give us your input there and return that to Sandy, that would be awesome. Proud to say that the NCTC cross-country team finished this year 15th and 16th, men's and women's, in nationals. And so we're going to give them a round of applause, even though they weren't able to be with us tonight. We were going to try to recognize them at the next board meeting. They're already going to be far off from us post-finals. And so we were very excited to know, and from my understanding, that was the first trip for 20 of our students to ever leave the state of Texas. And so you think about local students we're able to support the things we're doing. Athletics has a way of really broadening the perspectives of our students, and that's exciting. And they were so thrilled to be able to attend. Our ATD, Achieving the Dream, site visit begins this week. Achieving the Dream coaches will be here on Thursday and Thursday and Friday. They're focusing this visit much on the classroom experience and working with our faculty, teaching and learning, but also looking at another capacity cafe. As we had now, it's been almost 3 years ago, we had the opportunity for data to be submitted again by input from across the district. Our numbers are far better. Our average on communicating, on technology, on interaction are far better than they've been in the previous one, but we're going to look at those and have an opportunity for faculty staff to give their input on data results and make some plans for our next few years. I want to remind you the next board meeting will be December 13th. That's a little off schedule from normal, but that is due to the fact that we will need you to approve or be presented the audit. And so December 13th. And then in closing, we're glad to see some of our Boy Scout troops from Troop 668 with us tonight. We have 2 of those young men with us tonight, and they're getting their their exposure to civic board meetings, and I know they're thrilled to be here, don't you know? And so they chose a good evening because this will not probably be a very big board meeting for them. But we're glad to see you gentlemen with us tonight. Thanks for being here. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, the next item in the reports is the financial report. Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Want to apologize that we had a lot of things going on. Also, we're right in the middle of audit season, and we've been working with our auditors, trying to get all kinds of information for them. And then some of us, one of us got into an accident last week that kind of threw things out of kilter. But I apologize for being late. But there are a couple of sheets there in front of you, and I must apologize again on the statement of funds. Even though I made an effort this afternoon to correct that, there is still a calculation error in there, and I apologize, and that will be fixed before it goes into the minutes, and I can email that out to you. But basically, for the first couple of months of every fiscal year, our financial statements are somewhat in turmoil as we're closing the previous year and opening the new one. So, I don't want to say don't put too much stock into them, but there is a lot of flux going on. And so as we close the fiscal year and get on for the coming months, we'll have a lot of those things taken care of. Couple of things that I just thought I would call to your attention, though, making an effort on that statement of funds, the first page. One thing that I want to do is to make sure that we look at college funds without including the Medal of Honor Museum in it. Those really are not our funds, and so I would like to pull that out for the future statements, and that's one of the changes that I attempted to make, but actually it's still in one of those I believe it's the beginning balance. It's incorrect. No, it's the ending balance. It's included in that total at the bottom where it wasn't included at the beginning of the month. So I will fix that and get that out. And on the budget comparison, this is one of those that I pay a lot of attention to every month, but I'm already discovering that this is going to be an interesting year trying to compare where we are to the same time last year, because there's been such an influx of federal funds and they come at different times, and they're going to continue. We still haven't spent those dollars that are all coming to us, so there will still be some additional influx of those funds over the next couple of months. But to try to compare month to month, we're just not on that usual cycle this year. So there are going to be some anomalies, and there's going to be some categories that look like they're way up and way down from the previous year. But if you have questions about those and want to address them to me, I'll be happy to do what I can to try to explain what those differences are. But just don't be surprised when you see those types of discrepancies. Otherwise, the numbers look very typical for the second month of the fiscal year. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those for you.
Madam Chairman, I would remind the board that in the near future, there's going to be a sizable conversation about the large influx of those federal funds. And one of the things that Dr. Miller and I have been talking about is there's a concern that with the state appropriation reduction that we experienced this biennium and the increased appearance of cash, that will be put in rears, so to speak, when we go back into a new biennium. And that's a conversation we want the board to be engaged with as well, because these are not long-term, full-funded kinds of monies. These aren't monies that will be there next year. These are monies that are one-time. And those of us that remember our history lessons of community colleges, the last time we had federal infusion of monies, then the state cut, we never received the replay back of those cut funds from the original federal dollar cuts. And so I just want to keep that in our heads, because as you look at this, you think, wow, how nice. It has an endpoint, and the concern we have as a staff and administration is how do we handle that endpoint to make sure we sustain our processes and our people and move forward. And so we'll be doing some serious and are in the process of doing serious planning with that. So sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay.
So you're gonna pull the $2.5 million out of the Medal of Honor Museum, and so I guess you'll pull that out of the cash on hand as well?
Yes, that it truly does need to be pulled in both places. You're absolutely correct.
All right. Other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
report. All right, the next report is from the IT department, Ms. Casey.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, other members of the board. I'm Denise Kaysen. I'm going to be giving a report on the Information Technology Services Department. But as I do that, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your support of our department, the projects that have been ongoing, as well as Dr. Wallace and the Chancellor's Cabinet. And then I also wanted to mention, though this is given from an IT perspective, there's not a department here, instructionally or administratively, that hasn't been part of these projects. So there's, we just serve as a team member with those things. So these are not all our accomplishments, if you will, but the college's accomplishments. Also, I'd like to mention, even as bad as COVID was and the water damage we had in Corinth, one thing positive is that we have received some federal funds that have enabled us to complete some projects in a more timely manner. We didn't purchase anything with the federal funds that we didn't need, but instead of phasing things in over 3, 4, or 5 years, we were able to go ahead and get some of that equipment, get it in. As you know, just keeping up to date, but in addition, the security requirements. It's very important that we do that. So the other thing that the water damage afforded us was some downtime in Corinth. That campus is never down, and so we were able to complete some things there. So what I'll do is touch briefly on some sections and maybe highlight a few things. I tried to give you some detail there, but we'd be here a long time if I went over everything. So we'll start with the infrastructure enhancements. I'll remind you that we have a data center in Dallas, and then we have 6 campuses, and all those, there's circuits that travel down to that data center and out to the internet from there. So there is a lot of equipment that has to be installed on each campus. There are many operating system upgrades that have to take place periodically. Some of those will be taking place over the Christmas holiday. Of course, we're always trying to keep up with video surveillance, upgrading that software, access control, those kinds of things, and then make sure we have 2 paths to the internet that are completely separate in case one vendor goes down, having another path, and we had to refresh that this year. Next is the classroom office enhancements. We were proud this year, our Tech Hire grant piloted the Cyber Range. This is a Cyber Range company in conjunction with University of Texas at San Antonio. And so they piloted that this summer, and it was successful. And so we were able, again, with the funds, to contract with them for a year to offer a virtual training environment for our cybersecurity students. So we're pretty excited about that. So we're piloting that for a year, see how it goes, but that's always a challenge to be able to provide the caliber of equipment and the nature of the cyber events that happen to be beneficial to students in their class periods. Then we're always working to keep our labs updated. We had to table some of that for some lack of funds some prior years, so we were able to replace 173 this year, 41 of which were provided from the insurance for the water damage, and we are able to start implementing the solid state drives that are much faster, and so we're excited about that. Most of it is instructional areas. There were some faculty staff that had some really old machines that we replaced. Wanted to note that we do have many more laptops than we had in the past because of the remote nature. We are able to say that any full-time faculty or staff person who works remotely or campus to campus We do have enough laptops to be able to provide that. And then our student laptops that we provided during COVID, there were some remaining or some have been returned, and those are now in conjunction, the library worked with us to take those on hand to be checked out as other resources so that there'll be more availability, more students can take advantage of a student laptop if they need one. And then down to service enhancements, we've had the single sign-on and the multi-factor authentication for a while, but with each new software we get and as changes happen, that's a constant work in progress. We're trying to make it easier for the student to be able to connect to all their systems and the employees while being cognizant of the security. Probably everybody knows there's a new Adobe Creative Cloud this year. Then Trio Fox is our pilot program this year for our adjunct part-time faculty to be able to have access to the network shares inside our network from their personal computer. We don't yet provide NCTC laptops for them yet, but Trio Fox will be able to let them use their personal computer and then save and retrieve documents from our network in a secure fashion. Also, we're covering that for students this year as well, because some students during the pandemic weren't able to come on campus, and this is a convenience. And then, we hope it doesn't become a necessity again, but students and part-time faculty will have that ability. We're also, our e-learning department was already using Zendesk Help Desk software. We were using a freeware, if you will, for IT, but we've now are in the process of rolling out Zendesk also for IT, so that for our student experience, they'll have the same software for e-learning or for IT. Also, the students will have a capability of submitting their own ticket rather than just calling the help desk or sending to an email. Then, of course, we have some new areas, the new Gainesville Testing Center, Enhanced Corinth Testing Center. Our gym, that's used for athletics and events and graduation. And so we're trying to upgrade acoustics there. We're taking it in stages. Once we get that done, reevaluate the sound that we have in there and try to make that a better multi-purpose space. And then this room as well, y'all know we've had some challenges, though the vendors that have come in have been amazed at what marketing and our team have been able to do with no more than they've spent. So they were quite surprised at what we've been able to do, but we want to try to make that a better space also if instruction wanted to use it or for other meetings. That was scheduled to start tomorrow, but the company had some staff changes and also some equipment is not in yet. We have been hit by equipment lead times. Then we'll go Genzabar Enhancements. That's basically the systems that's used for admissions, financial aid, registration, our fiscal, student accounts receivable, HR payroll, that kind of thing. And so, as you might guess, it's very complex and involved in many, many departments there, but it's constantly being updated. We're trying to enhance our advising and registration processes. We're trying to expand our transcript integration with our system. We have expanded the Follett bookstore integration. They've been after us for a good while, and we're so glad we were able to be able to do that this year. Campus Logic is a financial aid integration, and then there's a new module that will be rolled out in the near future with Genzabar is to enhance communications for students. Some future things that we would look toward, J1 Unity is a standardized integration process. And then we'll have some more web-based modules that we'll be adding. And we did look at a chatbot this year. We just weren't able to go ahead and decide with the timing which product we wanted to choose with so many changes going on. So that's tabled temporarily, but we're keeping our eye on it. We'd like to do that at some point. There are additional application enhancements. Greenlight is a student portal. Basically for their life. Student can put their learning credentials there, and then they'd be able to send that to future employers. It's at no cost to the student. Fortunately, NCTC was awarded a grant, and that happened the end of last fall and this past spring. But then when Red River Promise came along, they're also using Greenlight. So the partnership is going to be providing Greenlight for our ISDs. So now our students will have their information from their ISDs and from North Central Texas College, and eventually to other university partners. There are other universities that are already online with it. So we're pretty excited about that piece, and allowing them to be able to have that information to share easily with their employers, rather than having to go back to each school and ask for all that information. You've heard talk about the Red River Promise program. We do use Salesforce for our admissions module with GenSbar, but now we'll have a second instance for just the rural high schools. With that is a secure file transfer server, so that the high schools can upload their student rosters, basically directory information, but so that they can upload those, so that we'll be able to provide a portal for the counselors, the principals, the superintendents to be able to look in and see the status on their students at no cost to them. So we're excited about that capability soon. Then we're able to develop a district-wide calendar. That sounds like an easy thing, but by people adding events, and so we now have that, and more integration, more work. But we'll go on over to the cybersecurity. It's taken on a life of its own. The requirements increase each year. Senate Bill 475 has a lot of interesting things and some deadlines by January 1. A lot of it is equipment and standards that you meet, but a lot of it, for instance, the cybersecurity awareness training, which we've been doing for a number of years, acceptable use standard. We did purchase an additional web gateway with advanced threat protection. We had one, but we have another now. And then a lot of it is around processes, compliance reporting, and documentation. You wouldn't really think that, but there's monthly reports, and that way in the event of an audit, you can show what you do on a regular basis. A lot of these things we were doing, we just didn't have it documented. We couldn't prove that that's what we're doing. So we're increasing that, and then we want to expand our campus lockdown capability at some point, and we want to expand our business continuity and disaster recovery processes. Those still need some work. And then one thing I wanted to highlight that's come out partially because of COVID is our internship involvement as an IT department. During COVID, a lot of businesses weren't able to take on internships, and we have capability to do some of that within the IT department. So our ITS team members have taken these students under their wings and mentored them, and we work closely with Shannon Solomon and Career Services. And so you can see the numbers there. In the past year and a half, that's really basically from summer 2020 until now. 5 cybersecurity interns, worked primarily with Susan Savane and Manny Trevino on those. Database interns, Manny Trevino. GenSbar also provides a summer internship that they provide funds to the college to pay for that. And then Will Hill has worked with us with networking and computer information technology interns. And then we've developed some relationships with work study. And of course, we coordinate that with financial aid. So we're happy about that. But then something we wanted to do tonight, there's, like I say, all departments are important and all have worked hard, but there was a particular challenge with the increased online all of a sudden, and then with the remote services everywhere. So we wanted to recognize 2 departments tonight. One is e-learning, Dean Flushy and Axel Leos and Cindy Whitrock. And Lee Sanders was part of that during COVID. And if y'all would stand so everybody could recognize you, I know. And then we wanted to recognize our IT team. And I've got Lee Sanders here. We stole him from e-learning. And then Jason Cook, Michelle Mitchell-Tree, Jose Ponce, Kelly Swan, and Glenn Harrell. They're our directors of the department. And Alex Holland, which y'all know very well because you see him. there are other team members as well with these that weren't able to attend for this tonight. Thank you. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention another team member that's invisible. A lot of times, Stephen, some of our team members and to y'all, but that's Harry Crowder with Empirical Networks. He's our systems engineer, and he takes care of the data center and helps us with that. So, do y'all have any questions for me tonight?
Great report.
All right, thank y'all so much.
Thank
You
you
know,
very much.
one thing we often, on page 7 of her report, when you look at cybersecurity, you hear the word unfunded mandate a lot. That page is unfunded mandate. And we really appreciate our IT and our e-learning departments, because there's a lot of things we're having to check and do that are unfunded, that there's nothing, but we have to do them. And so I want to add just my congratulations to these two groups, Madam Chairman, to say we don't function without them. And if they don't want to be nice to us, we wouldn't function at all. And so we really do appreciate their work. From the college administration, we would join in saying thank you for all you do.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Job well done.
Thank y'all.
All right. The next item would be the external funding report. Ms. Sharp.
It's always hard for me to believe that it's been another quarter for external funding, but it's also an exciting time for me to pull together and work with my team to look at what our accomplishments have been over the last quarter. And it's exciting for me to share tonight that this quarter, from September through now, the foundation received over $1.1 million in donations. And so I believe that might be our biggest quarter ever. And so it was exciting when I pulled those numbers for tonight. We've also awarded 862 scholarships valued at over $440,000 for this fall semester. Some of the donations that were included to make up that $1.1 million, I've talked about it several different times, but we did receive the gift, both stock and cash, of $700,000 from the Adeline Clark Beatty estate, and so those funds will be used primarily for Montague County, but for our Promise program. So we're really excited. That's a good kickstart for our Promise program. Also, Phil and Amanda Neely established an endowed scholarship this quarter, and they're going to be supporting single mothers, so I think that's kind of a neat twist that they wanted to do that. And then Monty and Victoria Fisher donated $50,000, and they'll be helping students from Cook and Montague counties. And then in your handout, I shared a couple of pictures from our Casting for the Cause. I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Brad Cozart, and they work with the Argyle United Methodist Church. There's a men's group that really helps us plan that and put that on. This year it raised $21,000, and it'll be for NCTC student scholarships. It'll also be for food insecurity in Denton County, and then also the Patriot Anglers are a beneficiary as well. So a great partnership. We added a shrimp bowl this year, and the silent auction was really well received as well. So a lot of great things happening with that group, and really gave us an opportunity to kind of include and increase awareness of what NCTC does in that region as well. And then I realized as I was putting this together that Chris Allison is our new director of the foundation. He started September 1st, and so excited to have him on the team and really bring a lot of enthusiasm and some technology kind of things that I think are going to really enhance what we're able to do with the foundation as well. From a marketing and public relation perspective, we had a great time on October the 28th helping promote NCTC at the C.H. Collins Stadium. Dr. Wallace got to flip the coin for the Geyer and Little M game, and Leo was there taking pictures with all the guests. We gave a $1,000 scholarship away. So great exposure for NCTC in Denton County, and this is a sponsorship that's really for the full football season, but we got to host one event. So our signs are everywhere at that stadium, so we're really excited to see that kind of extra recognition from our marketing team. The other thing that they are trying something different is kind of a mobile billboard, so that it was at the game and it's all lit up and it's NCTC, and so they're driving all around Denton County to let people see NCTC is here. So we're keeping tabs on how that's affecting our marketing, but kind of some new things that Jake Laughlin is also our new marketing director. He started September 1st. So it's been fun to kind of look at some new ways of doing things. And so marketing's really gearing up to some new activities and ideas to help promote NCTC throughout our service area. In our grants department, I need to have a special thank you for the dedication of Nancy Samara. She's the manager of the TRIO Student Support Service Grant. Mary Martinson, our Dean of Student Success, and Dr. Bruce King, our Provost, because they, working with Donna Updegrove, our Director of Grants, and Jessica Morton, wrote a Department of Education TRIO Talent Search Grants. And those of you that have been around to know that those are very competitive, very hard to get. And we did receive notification that we did receive a talent search grant this year. It'll be for 5 years for $1.3 million. And we're focusing on high school and middle school students from Louisville ISD. So we're excited about this partnership and being able to work with low-income first-generation students to give that. Y'all know what we do here on campus with student support services, and so this is going to allow us to take some of those services to the high school, again, encouraging them to go on to college. And so excited to get that, and congratulations for all their work on that grant. And then I'm going to tell you more later, but I had to share this number with you. This last month, NCTC has received notification that we have gotten 4 new grants valued at $2.4 million. And so we'll be talking more about that, but was excited to see those notifications come in because, as y'all know, the grants give us a lot of opportunity to try new things or expand things that we might not be able to afford. So kudos to all those. Kind of like Denise says, it's not just the grants department, our department. It's a team effort, and there's many in this room and also many listening in that have been involved in all those grants. So I want to thank everybody for their work on that. Small Business Development Center, under the leadership of Lori Logan. She's our director of SBDC. It's pretty amazing, again, the numbers that she's sharing with us as far as what they've done over the last year. And so, as y'all know, we did receive some additional CARES Act funds that allowed us to employ some additional recovery specialists that work specifically with industry to help them during the pandemic, make sure their business stayed in business and provided extra resources for them. But I'm going to give you a summary of the year end of what SBDC was able to accomplish. 715 unique clients or businesses that they served, over 3,600 advising hours that they worked with. They launched 48 new businesses. They created 260 new jobs. 1,567 jobs were supported, and they had 11.9 in capital infusion. So for a year, those staff have been really busy in helping either start new businesses or keep businesses going. So they also offered 75 different non-cost webinars. Because of the CARES Act funding, they were able to do marketing workshops for people, business plan workshops, a lot of different things that people could log into. And I was talking with Lori, not only local folks took advantage of that, but she had people from all over the United States listening to some of our webinars. So lots of great things and great support for those local businesses. I see Ryan's in the room. One of our things that we were able to do because of the CARES Act fund was to expand our satellite campuses. And so really appreciated them allowing us to put one of our business advisors at their facility and really expand our service here in Cook County as well. So appreciate all the support from the board and from the Chancellor as well as the Chancellor's Cabinet. As you know, this takes a team effort to make these kind of things happen. So happy to answer any questions, but appreciate your support.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, the next item on our agenda would be the consideration of approval of the consent agenda items. Are there any of the items A through C that need to be removed from the consent agenda and considered independently? Anyone? No? Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
We accept the consent agenda or consent agenda is presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Haynes. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Brown. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. The next item is under discussion of possible action is a consideration of approval of resolution for the North Central Texas College Districts are adopting the tax abatement guidelines and an effective date.
Yes, ma'am. At the last month's meeting, I passed out the new tax abatement guidelines and criteria for you to review if you had any changes. I'm assuming there are no changes, but if there are, just kind of let me know. But what you have before you is a resolution to adopt the new tax abatement guideline for the following 2 years. It'll be effective January 1, 2022, and it'll go through the end of 2023. Is that right? 2024, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, questions for Mr. Long? All right, if not, then I would consider a motion. Move for approval from Mr. Grimes. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Henderson. Additional discussion at this time. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is executive session, and I do believe we have one item or so to discuss. So I'll read the statement and then ask all of the audience please to exit the room, and Dr. Miller, if you would stay. So the board will now recess this regular meeting, go directly into executive session as provided for in the following Texas Government Code. Section 551.074, personnel matters. Thank you very much for your attendance. If you'd like to wait, we'll call you back in as soon as we're finished.